guys! What's up? Alpha Lion Simba here, and welcome to another episode of Magnificent and Mythological. Today, I'm going to be covering one of the most famous and well-known mythical creatures out there, and that is the unicorn. So, saddle up and let's begin. Now, we all know about the unicorn. It's your basic horse, but with a single horn on the top of its head. One possible origin for the myth of the unicorn comes from looking at an oryx antelope, any species. When you look at an oryx from its side profile, it appears to have only one horn. So maybe that's where the legend of the unicorn came from. Although, of course, there are a few real-life animals that have only a single horn, such as the Indian and Javan rhino, and the narwhal, which is often called the unicorn of the sea. Although the unicorn is most widely portrayed as a horse with a single horn, in early European literature, they're often depicted as a white horse or goat with a long straight horn. And in the Middle Ages and Renaissance, it was commonly described as an extremely wild woodland creature, a symbol of purity and grace, which could be captured only by a virgin. In some encyclopedias, its horn was described as having the power to render poisoned water potable to heal sickness. And in medieval and Renaissance times, the tusk of a narwhal was sometimes sold as a unicorn horn. The predecessor of the medieval bestiary, compiled with the late antiquity and known as Physiologus, popularized an elaborate allegory in which a unicorn, trapped by a maiden, which represents the Virgin Mary, stood for the incarnation. As soon as the unicorn sees her, it lays its head on her lap and falls asleep. This became a basic emblematic tag that underlies medieval notions of the unicorn, justifying its appearance in both secular and religious art. The unicorn is often shown hunted, raising parallels both with vulnerable virgins and sometimes the Passion of the Christ. The myths refer to a beast with one horn that can only be tamed by a virgin. Subsequently, some writers translated to this into an allegory for Christ's relationship with the Virgin Mary. However, when the unicorn appears in the medieval legend of Balaam and Josaphat, ultimately derived from the life of the Buddha, it represents death, as the Golden Legend explains. Unicorns in religious art largely disappeared after they were condemned by Molanus after the Council of Trent. A creature similar to the unicorn, called the reem, is mentioned several times in the Hebrew Bible, often as a metaphor for representing strength. The allusions to the reem as a wild, untamable animal of great strength and agility, with a mighty horn or horns, best fits the aurochs, which was the ancestor of domestic cattle. And of course, Chinese mythology has a creature called the Qilin, but that is another video for another time. And the real-life okapi was once known as the African unicorn. And unicorns do appear in J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World. In the world, the existence of unicorns was one of the worst-kept secrets of the Wizarding World, as unicorns were inextricably associated with magic in the Muggle world. And they were often used for their magical properties, with their white tail hairs being used as the core of a wand, and were designated by Garrick Ollivander as one of the supreme cores, which was a distinction shared by only two other beasts. In J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World, unicorn foals were born pure gold in color, and they remained so until they were about 2 years old, at which time they turned silver in color. At around 4 years old, their horn would grow in, and they were fully grown at about 7 years old. At this age, they would turn a shade of pure white that was so bright that it made freshly fallen snow look gray in comparison. Their hooves were golden, remaining so from the gold stage the first 2 years of their life, and their blood was silver blue and shone under the moonlight. Unicorns preferred a woman's touch, but the young ones were more trusting and do not mind men as much. Unicorns are so fleet on the hoof that they can rarely be caught by humans, and they were also fast enough to outrun werewolves with absurd ease. And in the wizarding world, unicorns were considered pure and sacred creatures, and drinking their blood to preserve one's life was considered a heinous and immoral crime. Well, that was it. My magnificent and mythological episode on the unicorn. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave requests in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Alpha Lion Simba, out.